Guys, I don't mean to alarm you, but the threatening Chinese man is back. Jung Qui Hei, the man who breached ethics in order to create the first genetically modified human babies. We made a video covering him a few weeks back, and ever since then, he's become like a little more unhinged and honestly a little more frank. Like some of these photos I'm seeing of Jung Qui Hei for the first time, so it feels like they might be new, but the way he's typing about stuff almost feels like it's a different guy behind the keyboard. Maybe he's put it down to an intern, maybe he sold the account as a bit, I'm not sure. Like there's still the occasional tweet like this where gene-modified animals should not be released into the wild, which, you know, probably starts a debate in certain like conservationist and nerd dork loser circles. And I assume this ties into, you know, the supposed comeback of dire wolves in order to reintroduce them to the wild. Remus, Romulus, and Khaleesi, Jesus. Apparently they're not even like really dire wolves, it's not the point because Jung Qui Hei is against it because he feels that dire wolves are a bioweapon. Like it's all very grim feeling and there's this kind of sinister background to it, but it never like feels as if this guy's off the rocker. It's time for some unhinged tweets, he said, and this is the most open I've ever seen his mouth. This is our first good look at this guy's teeth, and oh my god, they are not doing so hot. I know last video I was really on this guy's hairline, and there's really nothing wrong with it receding. I'm sure mine's going to at some point, you know, if I had hair, robot and all. But like, come on, man, you need to take care of these things. You only get 2 sets, and the second one you're stuck with until they fall out. Like, tooth shape is whatever, man. They're gonna shake out in whatever form they want. That's not something you can control, and it takes money to get it fixed. But like, what's going on here, man? You don't need to floss because you can fit the whole toothbrush in this gap, man. I hate that the first time I see him even close to happy is when I have something new and negative to say. But if he's tweeting unhinged shit, I'm sorry, I have to take this seriously. Meow, this motherfucker said? This is too much, I'm out. Still got Sun following me though. I'm sorry, something must have changed, man, because 1 second ago he was saying, stop asking for cat girls. I'm trying to cure disease. Deadass not even 3 hours later, he's like, I'm not giving you cat girls, I am the cat girl? Bro, focus on the fucking genetic diseases you're trying to cure. Like if you don't know who he is, he looks really respectable in this image. Like a man who takes his work seriously and has no time for the games that Twitter plays. Whoever tied it in with this panel is a fucking legend, dude. If you don't know, this is originally from a Spider-Man comic where there is a similar moral quandary. You can rewrite DNA on the fly, and you're using it to turn people into dinosaurs. But with tech like that, you could cure cancer. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. If we didn't know better already, we might think that Jung Qui Hei was this guy's reversal. You can rewrite DNA on the fly, and you're using it to cure cancer? You could turn people into dinosaurs. But I want to cure cancer. I respect that at least, but don't forget that this guy was called Chinese Dr. Frankenstein, and he put the gene-edited embryos into 2 women who did not consent or know that he was doing it. He went to jail for 3 years. He's been universally condemned as breaching scientific ethics, which is why it's so crazy when he goes on to say shit like this. Gene editing should never be used for cosmetic, military, or performance-enhancing use cases. Again, on its face, it's a pretty agreeable statement, like just setting the precedent of engineering life for them to be soldiers. Like that is so twisted, and also the plot of Star Wars. Cosmetic, I think it like has about as much material harm as microtransactions in video games do, as long as it isn't pay to win. Like you can definitely lord your Hatsune Miku skin over other people and it'll give you like social power, but it leaves the baby whose genes have been edited to look really cool with their agency intact. If you were born and bred to be a military asset, that's, oh my god, man. To be fair, that's probably already happening if it's possible and there's nothing we can do to stop it, but I can still be similarly horrified. The issue is performance enhancing. What is that in this case? Like, is getting rid of certain genetic diseases that like kill people or hinder them in their ability to live life, would getting rid of those be considered performance enhancing? I don't know, man. Shit's weird. I don't know how to feel. It'd also be crazy if that no matter how advanced our gene editing technology gets, we still just can't make a Michael Phelps. Mother Nature has to choose to pop that one out on purpose, man. You can't do that in a lab, apparently. And you know, as I read more about this guy, supposedly from his own words, because they're coming directly from a Twitter account with his name, the more I realize he contradicts himself, and not in like his past actions half a decade ago sort of way. I mean, like tweets he made within a day of each other. Here's another common sense tenet that I think most of us can abide by. Innovators should develop rules and regulations for new technology. I agree. This boils down to saying that when scientists ask if they could, they should always ask themselves if they should, and when asked if they would, what steps do they need to take first in order to be able to answer with an ethical yes. Good work, man. Really cool stuff. Oh wait, I forgot. I was building this up to have a flip side. side. Relaxing ethics will help a country to win tech dominance. Like, dude, you can't just put this out into the world. I don't know if any governments are going to be building their policy off of your word here, but there are certainly people on Twitter who you are getting a new audience of who put stock in what you say. Now, what I'll give him here is an unscrupulous government not concerned about human rights or like the ethics of anything they're doing will probably make faster leaps in technology at the expense of human suffering, where ideally the advancement of like technology would only be done in the pursuit of improving human quality of life, never at the expense of it. That's just not the world we live in, though. It's like you can get ahead in tech dominance if you relax ethics, but he also simultaneously believes that's wrong. Did you have to say it in like two separate occasions, though? Because most people seeing this tweet are going to take it in a vacuum. It's like, huh, this guy thinks we should get rid of rules and regulations. You know, I want to advance tech faster as long as I'm not the human being experimented on. That is not a belief I hold. I can only imagine that was at least one person's takeaway. And this motherfucker still can't shut up about Austin, Texas. I found out recently he graduated from Rice University in Houston, Texas, man, so he's like kind of a traitor by Texas standards. When I heard the name of this university, I wasn't sure if that was a bit or not. Like, Chinese Twitter account who mostly shitposts these days says he has a PhD from Rice University. Jung Qui Hei also seems to be sharing a lot more about his like personal life as things are going. Like, the things he's saying are not so generalized anymore, or like talking about specifically the nature of his work and his ambitions and hopes for it. He's going back into the past to talk about where he came from. Like, we know he went to Rice University in Houston. He was born in a rural village, and look at him now. He's in a high-tech lab on the cutting edge of science. He has labs across the world, like one he really loves in Austin, as we've covered before. And we know the type of man he doesn't want to be. He says, Oppenheimer is not my role model. I fucking hope the circumstances for him to become your role model never come together, man. I hope we never have a World War III that necessitates the fast tracking of gene editing technology for combat purposes, man. It seems like this guy wouldn't be a huge fan of his work being used for military application, but I'm not sure it would be in his hands at that point. Just like with Oppenheimer, even though he discovered the technology, the imperative and choice to use it in combat usually gets taken out of his hands, and when the higher-ups view him as too pussy, they X him out of the circle and just start doing shit on their own. It's like, you gave us the baseline, bro. We making the hydrogen bomb now. Get fucked. And you know, he can talk a big game about what he doesn't want to happen in the near future, but like, we already know the type of ambitions you hold, man. Emerging biotechnology coupled with artificial intelligence will lead a new industrial revolution. Oppenheimer might only not be a role model because there's no role model for what you're doing right now, man. It's scaring the shit out of me. And you know, he has like some level of commitment to transparency. Like he says here, my lab in Beijing is not working on government-supported super babies. And I'm glad he clarified, because this would go against his anti-performance enhancing genetic editing criteria that he had, and I would hate to see him break it within like a week of first saying it, but he's had more critics coming his way as a result of this recent speech. And this is the thing he asked people like me to consider before we speak on his work. Before you talk to me, ask yourself, would Van Gogh have wanted to hear the opinion of someone who's never created a masterpiece? First problem with the sentence, depends which side of Van Gogh you're talking to. He cut off his ear, remember? I don't really care how Van Gogh would have felt about his critics because he wasn't doing too well, bro. He cut off his ear over a bitch. I'm gonna be honest, I'd prefer Oppenheimer be your role model over Van Gogh because at least that speaks to you valuing managerial skills, man. Oh, here's another humanity-chasing apotheosis thing. Today's bioethics is derived from René Girard's mimetic theory and is performative by nature. Whatever type of man it is you're trying to be, it is some version of a pioneer and innovator, but at what cost are you willing to do it, man? My favorite X-Men is the Wolverine. You know, maybe I misjudged this guy. He's got good taste. He likes the short and smelly one. Then again, he could be trying to make the dude in a test tube. Any positive development in his demeanor is just completely fucking shit on by the context of everything else he's done, man. I can't. This most recent exchange is like one of the ones that makes me think this could very well be a different guy behind the keyboard, because he's actively beefing with other geneticists now. Colossal was the company that made the so-called dire wolves that were recently apparently brought back from the dead. They're saying that they want to revive other animals from the past, like woolly mammoths, in order to reintroduce them to the wild and ecosystems. And Jung Qui Hei has been calling everything they do woolly mice, the fake dire wolves, fucking bioweapons. He decides to go band for band on Twitter likes with them. Colossal may be worth $10 billion and have an expensive PR team, but I edited human embryos and my tweets get more views. We are not the same. Also, somebody tell their CEO to get my name out of their motherfucking mouth, dude. What is going going on, man? Did the CEO actually say something about him? You see him going back to his work that he got arrested for, by the way, and he's like defending it, still saying, there were no off targets in my gene-edited embryos in 2018. I did breach ethics and do this without the women I put the embryos inside of consent, but it ended up working out just fine, guys. The gene-edited babies were fine. Like, I don't need to explain to you why it's still fucked up, right? I'm not like anti-science or anti-innovation, but like, this guy specifically gives me a lot of concerns. Like, Joe Rogan's talking about his gene editing on babies, and the dude's all, hey, pull up to Beijing if you want to talk face-to-face, big boy. Bring your buddy Ben, too. And Bone over here makes a good point. He doesn't leave his studio. You need to go to Austin. Jung Qui Hei, you love that fucking city. You have a lab there. You can make this happen. If you're so serious about doing gene editing on babies, I know Joe Rogan is not exactly a fucking great source of information, and you know, he might end up sucking up to you, actually. And actually, since you're like the last person he talked to, he might end up fully agreeing with you by the time you leave the room. Fuck, this might be a bad idea. But if this is really Jung Qui Hei, this is very within the realm of possibility for a guy like him to make happen. I have no idea what this shit is. Randomly, he just said Kathy is the best, and I have no idea who Kathy is. For some reason, I expected a reply that clarified this was Kathy Tur. Like, here he is actively railing against Colossal's entire concept. Colossal Bioscience's definition of species is dangerous and damaging. And this isn't like pulled out of his ass. Like, there are a lot of articles about how they're calling what they're doing, quote unquote, bringing back dire wolves when they're not dire wolves, really. They are gene-edited wolves, but they're not the same thing that existed like 15,000 years ago or however long. This guy knows how to run a psychological horror, if nothing else. I'll give him that. That's all I got on this guy right now. I'll let you know if there are any updates on his master plan. In the meantime, that kwytebox email in the description is there if you want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.